Any second now. Welcome, everyone, to the new episode of More Layers. I'm Seth Mariano.
And I am Jordan Smith.
And mainly, we're going to sort of pick up our discussion from last time about celebrities and fictional characters, whether or not they're role models. We're going to pick up that discussion from last time in progress for the bulk of this. But I wanted to, start this episode more casually, and I was thinking because Good Friday and Easter are coming soon, I wanted to talk about. I thought maybe me and Jordan could talk about our personal favorite Good Friday and Easter memories.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
So, you got something, or I could start if you can't think of something.
Well, in terms of specific memories, there aren't too many, although one that does come to my mind is every year, at least for the people who are here for the holiday, my mom likes to hide the Easter baskets around the house, and we got to go find those. But one day, my mom decided to get a little silly, because at one point my brother had a job in the local area, and she hid his in the back of his car. And he did not realize it until after he was heading home, and his reaction was just priceless.
Hopefully by then there wasn't any melted chocolate in the back seat or anything.
I don't think there was a lot of melted stuff in there, but it was a while ago now, so I don't remember every single detail.
Yeah, that reminds me of, like last year. Now, my dad did something pretty unorthodox and definitely unusual even for us.
Okay.
He pretty much went all around like half of the main floor of our house, hiding Easter eggs in places like the cupboard above the fridge, I think, was one of the places. The like office supply cabinet, and where the egg in there was not found until recently, actually.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but it was all right. I figured it's not that old. I can eat it, so I did.
What was in it?
I think it was a Reese's white chocolate egg.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those might definitely last a while.
Yeah. But the thing that I thought of for my answer was it was, I'd say, a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I was serving, I think, both the Good Friday and Easter. I think this all happened the same year, over the same weekend.
Okay.
I was serving in the technical production ministry, as I do to this day. There was one video that we used. I think it was made by the church, basically as part of the Good Friday event, where one of our church family, good friend of mine, I believe, did some dramatic voiceover for. Basically, he played a character, kind of
Seth?
struggling more and more emotionally, I guess distressed might be the word, though. And I think the performance was done really well. And much to my disappointment, I couldn't find it on our YouTube. All they put from the service was the sermon, so I can't relive it like I wanted to, but that's okay.
Well, I hate to have to ask you to repeat some of that, but a lot of what you just said was completely cut out.
So like the whole story, you want me to go back?
Well, you started talking about like the church and what they were doing, and then around the beginning of that part of the conversation, like it just completely stopped for me, the footage.
Oh, really? Yeah. Might want to go back and look at that when this is over. So I could maybe start that story about the video over if you want.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know how the viewers will hear it. Maybe they got the version where they could hear what you said, but I personally didn't. So I figured, like, just in case, even if it's like a shorter version.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. My apologies to the viewers. I didn't want to. I don't edit these because I tried last time, but things got complicated, so I don't really edit these. So if you could please bear with us, but you could always fast forward. So, all right, I'll try.
All right.
So I was talking about the I think it was an original video that the church did,
Right.
where one of the people in our church family, I think, did a voiceover of playing some character who had been cheating on his wife, and he had been struggling with that, and he's like if she finds out, she'll leave me. I don't deserve to be loved. I'm done. And all this stuff gradually intensifies and gets more and more emotional in his voice. And I think it was. I think he did a good job, and yeah, I was disappointed that I couldn't relive it on our YouTube. All they put on our YouTube was the sermon for that night. So, but that's okay.
I mean, if you can remember and describe it, which you just did, then that at least gives people some idea of what it was like.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
And I remember, like the beginning of the service, like I think it was the following Saturday and Sunday. Like going into the music set, our creative arts pastor, I believe, did a recitation of the pre-chorus first verse lyrics of. You've probably heard of the song. It's been on the radio, Christian radio. "Forever He Is Alive" or whatever it's called by Carrie Joby.
I probably have heard it at some point, although I can't think of how it goes off the top of my head.
Yeah. Maybe I could just maybe I could just recite the first few words. Maybe that'll help.
Okay.
Yeah, like the moon and stars, they wept. The morning sun was dead. The savior of the world was fallen.
Okay,
Like I
that
said,
does sound familiar.
yeah. That was. I just remember hearing that and slowly a light bulb going off, a light bulb of memory going off slowly in my head. Like I recognize that. That was cool. And we also did that morning, or that Saturday and Sunday. Death was arrested by North Point Church.
Okay.
That one ring a bell?
I'm trying to think. What's it called again?
Death was arrested.
I don't know if I've heard that one. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, maybe if I sing a little bit of the chorus, maybe it'll jog your memory or something.
Well, I mean, that's if I've heard it before, which I don't know if I have. But if you feel like doing that, please feel free.
Oh, your grace so sweet, or so free, washing over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. Yeah, that one.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah, oh, well, that's another hit. Yeah, probably not every Christian has heard it before.
Well, it's hard for a person to hear every single song out there, so that would make sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Well, we used it. I think we used it with another homemade video by the church, where a kid gets in a thing, a little thing that his dad stores oil in, and tries to clean it off, and then his dad catches him, but he just stands there and helps him clean it off. Yeah. And so
Okay.
it's kind of provoking in that way, kind of symbolic in that sort of way.
I'm assuming you aren't able to find that on YouTube either?
I don't think so.
Ah, man.
I
Oh,
think
well.
more recently they started putting up maybe full services, including like all the elements like music and whatever, but or probably not, but no, but definitely all the messages probably from like a few years that go back a few years maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so yep, so those are like so you've just heard our memories, and I want to encourage the audience out there watching or listening to share with us what are your favorite Holy Week or Good Friday and Easter memories. You can do that in the comments below this video on YouTube or on Facebook. I encourage you to do that.
Is there a way for people to leave comments on the audio only versions or no?
Not that I'm aware of, but I guess YouTube and Facebook are probably the more popular platforms. So
Yeah, more than likely.
yeah, I think so. If they know they can do that, I think that's good enough for me.
All right.
All right, so why don't we move on now? I guess to our continuation of last week's discussion of our fictional characters and celebrities role models. And if you were with us last time, you may recall, I feel like in a sense Jordan did most of the talking, and that was perfectly okay with me. Because I probably didn't have that much in my mind to offer, but he gave some decent answers. He gave us a list, you may remember.
Yep.
And he just told me he had some more, and in between then and now, by then I mean last time, I thought of a few examples and some more deep stuff to say, but no, but so I have a few specific ones that I thought of, and apparently so has Jordan.
Mhm.
So, if you want, you can start if you'd like.
Alrighty. Let's see. Who would be a good role model to start with? I'm surprised after all the ones I talked about, the ones I didn't think to mention are friends and family.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, yeah. I think I thought the same kind of thing myself. So, well, tell me more about that.
Let's see. There's plenty of people I could cover on this one. I guess like the two people I typically look up to in terms of while I was growing up and even now are my brother and sister. Because they're older than me. They've gotten further into life, and I want to be able to see what they're doing, so I know how to follow suit. They've been through several hardships like anybody, and they've pulled right through. So they've shown a lot of strength. They've shown a lot of courage. Uh, they're doing a lot of the stuff that I want to do. Like they've got their own places. They've got big jobs. And really just talking to them really uplifts my spirits.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I don't get to talk to them as much as I used to now because they both have moved away. But when we do get a chance to talk, it's very nice.
Yeah, I think I could say a similar thing for my younger brother. I'm the oldest of three kids,
I'm the
but
opposite.
yeah, in a way, I think that probably makes it harder and kind of more scary in my mind at times, probably because as the oldest, you kind of have, well, like in a way, a bigger responsibility probably on your shoulders of influence and I guess that kind of thing.
Sure.
But even though my brother is a couple years younger than I am, I feel like he has influenced me probably more than I've influenced him. I don't know if he would agree, probably wouldn't, but his I guess I wouldn't say his example totally rubbed off on me. I think I still am pretty lazy and pretty naive at times, but thinking sometimes about how you know, he's bold enough to call out stuff that's dumb and naive and able to drive himself to work hard
Mm-hmm.
and and be himself. I guess uh, I I I guess more than anything, his personality I think has in a way influenced me.
Well, that's always good to know. And younger siblings can be an influence on their older siblings too, but usually, like you were saying, the older sibling has that almost natural responsibility to, I guess, for the lack of a better phrasing, set the not set the course, kind of pave the way for their younger siblings because they're going through a lot of those things first. But I like you would know that more than I would because I'm the youngest of three, the oldest of three.
Yeah, yeah, and part of it maybe is because we're so close in age, we practically we're same generation, millennial. We grew up together and shared a lot of the same experiences.
And my siblings and I are relatively close in age. I won't get too specific with that, but my sister, who's the middle child, the age gap between her and my older brother is the same age gap pretty much that she has with me. So she's literally smack dab in the middle.
I see.
Yep.
And I have I thought of some more like pop cultural figures that most of them I would say are not necessarily like worldly culture pop figures or secular pop culture figures, but I think it's a lot of that influence is probably because of my upbringing, my faith upbringing, about as far back as pretty much as far back as I can remember.
Okay.
So I grew up. I was raised by two parents who have unapologetically expressed their belief in the Lord, and they wouldn't necessarily like talk down to us. I don't think, at least not intentionally, but they wanted us to. They wanted that, I guess, to rub off on us, and wanted us to grow up with that sort of spirit, or come to find that faith ourselves eventually.
Okay.
Which I think all three of us did, eventually, in one way or another.
So would you say they made it clear what they believed in, but they also didn't force it down your throat? Like they
Well,
strongly recommended it, though?
I think they strongly recommended it. I think they had a strong belief or conviction that it was the truth and it was the right thing, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think they maybe intentionally crammed it down their throat, but maybe with their hearts in the right place, they may have done so unintentionally. I don't think they meant any harm or anything, uh, but I think their intention the whole time was just to try to guide us in the way that they think we should be brought up and parented, I
Sure.
think. And you know, well, pretty much all around the house we had a lot of Christian related stuff, from storybooks, um, Bibles, music, and probably in large part because music is pretty much one in our family. Both my parents have been involved in music ministry, and both my siblings at times have been as well. Well, and they kind of in that way, my siblings kind of took after my parents in that way, kind of doing similar stuff.
All right.
You know, um, growing up, there was always music around the house, like a Wow Hits compilation, or an album by Amy Grant or Stephen Curtis Chapman. And I think we had a sheet music book that I found in the piano case once, of Amy Grant's Straight Ahead album.
All right.
Yeah, so definitely it was in a way, it was that sort of faith, in a way, I guess, was a big part of the family DNA. And I'll admit, and for the first while or so, I wasn't personally on board with it. I thought, nah, I'm not interested. But I think mm, at some eventual point in my childhood, I decided eh, I kind of want to look into this, and started my journey with Jesus from there.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think if it hadn't been for all that stuff, for that kind of environment and all that stuff, the music and stuff that I talked about being involved in it, then I probably wouldn't be where I am now. And since then, as I've lived my adult life, I've come to appreciate a, a lot. I think of that music from back in the day now. Partly, I'll take. I'm just saying that to myself so you
Sure.
don't. I was just saying that so you didn't cut me off, but don't worry. So I think probably the big part is because music sounds to me so different now, like in terms of style, and even I guess oftentimes lyrical content. But there was something there was something intriguing to me about the way music back then, like a lot of the Christian music that I listened to or heard back then, was produced and written and I guess styled. So I tend to be, I guess, personally biased toward, some earlier stuff like DC Talk or or early Stephen Curtis Chapman.
All right. I mean, it's hard to like in my personal opinion. I feel like it would be pretty hard to be biased in music simply because everybody has their own taste for music. Like some people like certain genres, or some people like certain bands, or a certain style of lyrics. So
Yeah,
really,
people's
I
tastes
feel
vary. Yeah,
yeah,
people's tastes
exactly.
vary.
Which is why I feel like it would be hard to be biased because people have different thoughts on what they like in music and what they don't.
Well, you know, and I think something that I thought of going into this episode was I think of like our exposure to whatever culture, whatever media we're consuming, and the environment I guess we're surrounded by. In a way, it's like looks like we have a poor connection again, at least on
Yeah,
my end.
it's said that for me a couple times, but it hasn't been really bad aside from the one time it cut you off for a little bit.
All right, it's gone now. So I was saying, I think of, or I've thought going into this episode that exposure to media that we consume and the environment around us. The environment part I thought of pretty much just now. It's like food, you know. There's that old saying, "You are what you eat."
Sure.
Yeah. So I figure, you're constantly in the presence of someone who is unapologetically selfish, or listening to or being exposed to hedonistic stories and music all the time. That's going to end up being your attitude, at least for a season, I guess.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think?
My mind just blanked.
It's all right. Yeah, it's okay. We can move on if you want.
Yeah, I may have to do that because for some reason I just completely forgot what happened in the past 30 seconds. I hate when that happens.
I don't know. I don't know why that is. Is it because of my rambling or something? I don't know.
No, like every once in a while, regardless of what's going on, I'll be listening and then let's see what would be a good thing to compare it to.
You're spacing out.
Kind of, sort of, but it makes me think of when I go in, or at least when I went in for tests in school, because I will have studied up to that point. I will remembered what I feel like all the things I need to remember, and then once I get tested on what I was remembering, all of a sudden it disappears.
Like that early episode of SpongeBob. Remember that he goes in for his boating test, and he's all confident. He feels good about it. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to nail this. And then, pretty much the moment he gets behind the wheel, what? What?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
That's all right. I can probably try to keep it rolling as best I can, or if you've got something, you can share it.
Yeah, I just apologize to you and the viewers/listeners because that unintentionally will happen every so often, and that can often bring things to a halt. But I try to prevent it.
Yeah, as you can probably tell, we're making things up on the fly, or at least I am.
Yeah, this is a disclaimer. None of this is scripted ahead of time. The only thing that I have written down, at least on my end, is the list of role models for this episode and the last one.
Yeah. But I think we're just gonna go with the flow and have fun with
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought of yeah. And if you do get bored, fast forward and maybe you'll see it pick up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to the audience.
Well, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah. So one person I thought of was Tony Dungy, the former NFL safety and head coach.
For which team or teams?
I think he has head coached multiple teams. I think I know he's had coaching jobs on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, Indianapolis Colts, New York Jets.
Okay, so he's been around.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, my grandma gave me once a book that kind of samples from his book Uncommon. He's a man of faith, and now he kind of subtly expresses it in his book, Playbook for an Uncommon Life, and just the writing and gives me this vibe that he is bold and compassionate as that he's a bold, compassionate, unapologetic man of faith, and in a way that inspires me, to if I'm going to communicate my faith, I guess do it gently, respectfully, but don't be afraid to tell the truth. You know.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to remember. And considering he's in the NFL, he is deep within the public eye, so a lot of people see what he does and or says. And considering he's still willing to do that, that's a good example of not being afraid to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah. The public eye comment you made reminded me of something I thought about, digging deeper into the topic, why, or, or the question, I guess, of whether or not characters and celebrities are role models. In a way, I think they are more than ever because I think like media like TV and film, that kind of thing, have become more and more prevalent over time. Now it's pretty much like the go-to entertainment in our culture, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That,
And yeah, and at least if you've got considerably high enough a profile, uh, whether you like it or not, somebody is watching you. Somebody is watching closely.
such
What
as
you
the paparazzi.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah. I was thinking more of like people at home watching. There's always someone catching what you're saying and what you're doing.
Oh, definitely.
At least on camera. If they're interested enough in you, they might dig into your personal life, find something more personal about you on the internet or in the news or something, and if they're curious enough, so it can be dangerous in a way.
Sure. But like adding to that with the whole paparazzi thing, once you get deep enough in the public eye, you will have a very difficult time just going anywhere in public without somebody following you trying to get something on you.
Which is probably another reason not to be famous for entertainment because I thought for a while I would like to be a star. I think it was just because I felt like I wanted to be loved, but now now I don't think I want to be a star.
Which makes perfect sense. And the only reason I really want to be a star at some point is because they usually have a bigger influence on people. And I figure the more people I can reach out to, the better positive influence I can have on others. And hopefully, I can improve their day or make them smile or laugh or something to just generally uplift their spirits a bit more.
And maybe together a bunch of us can do that someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, now, people. This kind of power of influence, it doesn't just apply, I think, to entertainment or popular media.
Oh, certainly
Yeah.
not.
Well, I mean, it could be like I said with the family,
Mhm.
uh, or or the community, your city around you, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, it can come from anywhere, really. It's just that the ones that are like such big names, regardless of what field they're in, they typically have a bigger influence simply because more people know who they are.
Probably, yeah. And I just thought of something. Maybe it'll come back in a second.
Sure.
Well, I think I was going to say that it's there's much more, or there's more power now because people, or young kids, or young people tend to be more interested in watching film or watching a show than actually engaging with people around them. So, more often than not, on what they're getting or what they're seeing or what they're hearing is coming from the TV or the radio or that kind of thing. So it makes it, in a way, I think, a bigger deal.
Especially right now when a lot of people aren't leaving their houses.
Good point. Yeah, yeah. In a way that probably increases the danger.
It definitely can. I know before the pandemic really got started, I was working on improving my social life a bit more, and I was actually starting to do really well. And then once the pandemic hit, it was pretty much reversed. Although, thankfully, now that things are starting to lighten up a little bit, I'm getting back out there a little bit more. So, like, even today, when my mom and I went to Barnes and Noble, we didn't interact with too many people aside from like the people we were buying something from. But just the fact that we got out of the house, it gave us kind of a sense of relief or like a sense of freedom that we weren't just stuck in one place. And even that on its own can be helpful.
I also thought of a couple Christian musicians you've probably heard of if you were
Yeah.
brought up like I was, like the aforementioned Stephen Curtis Chapman and Rich
Yep.
Mullins. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily, at least not entirely or mostly, their music that intrigued me. The more I thought about it as a grown up, but I think it was just they were authentic, or they are, I guess I should say, authentic people who are not scared to admit, no, I've got struggles. I don't have it all together, and kind of encourages me to consider, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, or maybe it's okay to not be okay, you know?
Well, yeah, I feel like it's important to know and acknowledge when you're struggling because then you'll know what's going on and then you can seek help. And I forget, I think this was a cartoon character that ended up saying this, but I forget who it was. But they were saying something like, just the fact that you're aware that you need help shows that you're not too far gone.
Charlie Brown Christmas, yeah. Yeah, that's a line from Charlie Brown Christmas, Lucy.
Oh, you know what? That's right. I had to think about it for a second, but yeah, that's exactly where it came from.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably yeah, yeah. I think of that as like another way of saying something I've heard my pastor say: a problem well defined is a problem half solved.
Or was it like this old G.I. Joe cartoon that said knowing is half the battle?
I think that's like I guess that's mm, like the catchphrase of the toy franchise, or possibly the animation too.
Well, in any case, the message still comes across the same way.
Yeah, probably.
But there's that, and then like those musicians, amongst many others, them just saying, "Hey, I might be who I am, but I'm not perfect." Like that just shows a sign of, I think it's humility. Is humility the right word? Or like humbleness?
Yeah, I think so.
Like anybody who does that, like they get so well known, but they're like, "Hey, just because I'm big doesn't mean I'm like perfect or flawless. I still have issues too, like everyone else." Like just doing or saying that earns a lot of respect from me.
Yeah. In a way, I guess it refreshes me because I feel like, you know, well, like the Christian world will often say, hey, you got to listen to this person. They've got it good, or they've, or they, or they're so spiritual. You got to listen to them. It's good for you. Um, but I don't know if they. I guess they don't stop to think. "Hmm, hey, these are human beings. I'm sure they're spiritually strong, perhaps, but they've got their problems."
Oh yeah, definitely. Like a lot of big name actors or whatever, people will see them and be like, "Wow, they're doing all these cool things. They've got the perfect life or they have a great life." It's like that's only what you're seeing, but their personal lives, you don't know what's going on. They could be struggling with something else entirely. Like a lot of comedians, for example, they will make other people laugh, but they will struggle to make themselves laugh. Like I don't know if there's too many specific examples I can think of, but I'm pretty sure I've read that a lot of comedians also suffer from depression and that they hide behind the humor.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like they're walking around with a mask on.
yeah, and I'm not saying all of them do that, but I feel like a good chunk of them do.
Yeah. And there are other people I consider influences on me, like my pastors, who who model traits like courage and compassion and even my own parents. Like I said, and, and we're have been people of faith for as long as I can remember. I guess I said, and they've modeled courage and compassion. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. Maybe at least not hardly have I thought. I want to be like my mom. I want to be like my dad. I want to be like this person. But just remembering what I observed and reflecting on that has, in a way, steered me good.
Well, that's definitely a good thing. Seeing the good person you become signifies that the parents did their job.
I guess more or less they did.
Yeah.
Now, would you say your upbringing had that kind of effect on you?
Oh, most certainly. Like with every family, the kids will sometimes butt heads with the parents, but like deep down, I know that they love me, they care for me, they want the best for me, even if we don't always agree on what the best is. Um, but I know that they're always trying to look out for me, and I think that's the one thing I love about them the most is that no matter what happens, they're trying to make sure I have the best life they can give.
So it sounds like they really care.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you could probably think of like people like the directors in our Artists Unlimited program, which we mentioned before,
Oh yeah.
and maybe some others.
Like
And
our hmm? Go ahead, go ahead.
I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, sorry that I cut you off there.
Oh no, go ahead.
But Carl Wager are our Artist Unlimited artistic director. He like I've known him for a little bit longer than I've known about artists because he kind of introduced me to it. But he over time has essentially become a father figure to me.
Well, that's cool to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, he does the typical things a director does. Like, he helps people with their lines or their vocals or whatever. But behind the scenes, he treats you like he would his own kids. Like, he guides you in what he believes is the right direction, or he'll give you some pointers on everyday life issues. And he's really just been looking out for me for the past roughly 10 years now. And I honestly can't thank him enough for it.
And a memory that I've shared. Um, when I was going to a therapist, I shared a memory of one time at a practice for Shrek the Musical. Sarah Stabell, our musical director,
Mm-hmm.
approached me and said, you've got talent, and the one thing that stuck out was when she told me you're a leader. And since then, I've thought to myself, maybe I am, and I've um, considered, getting involved in church group leadership, and which I slowly am. I guess I slowly am doing now with my men's group. So I think maybe if it hadn't been for that comment, then I don't know if I would have thought about that.
Well, the inspiration for where we go in life can come from the smallest of things. So that definitely makes sense. And then I can speak from experience when I say if Sarah Stabell tells you that you are a leader, She does not say that lightly. She genuinely means it.
Oh, yeah, there was never a doubt in my mind. So you said you had more examples?
Yeah, we can probably do at least a couple more. Yeah, I've got a couple. Let's see. I'm probably gonna say a lot. Okay, so this one, it's kind of a fictional character, but it also kind of goes back to the actor that portrays this fictional character. It's Buddy the Elf.
I'm an elf fan.
Oh yeah, most people I talk to either seem to love or hate that movie, but I personally love it.
Yeah, maybe some people hate it because he's kind of off the wall or that kind of thing, or but some others, I guess, find it innocent and comfortable to watch or something.
Sure, but I put the character and thus the actor Will Ferrell, excuse me, on the list because I feel like as we grow older, some forget what being a kid is like, or they don't embrace their childlike side anymore. And I feel like watching Will Ferrell portray this character in this movie was kind of a reminder that we all still have that childlike side to us, or that we should embrace it, and that we don't have to be quote unquote adults 24/7. We can still have fun every so often. We can still enjoy life and experience new things every day.
Oh, I know I still have fun.
Oh, I definitely do too. And watching that movie growing up, it's kind of a constant reminder.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Yeah, I've watched that movie probably every Christmas season since I've lived in Rochester, and I guess you know it, it's gotten better a couple times later that I've watched it.
Oh yeah, and it's just a lot of fun quoting the lines of the film as it plays. At least for me.
Yeah, you probably could do some uncanny recreations, I imagine.
Oh yeah, like our friend Dalton, who we mentioned in the first episode, for those who haven't seen that yet, he's also been in Artists Unlimited. He and I like to reenact film scenes a lot. So if we can get the audio of a film scene or something playing in the background, he and I will lip sync and act alongside it. So a good example of this, I think it ended up getting recorded too. We were hanging out with a group of friends one Friday, and we did exactly that with Abbott and Costello's "Who's on First" skit.
I think I saw a little bit of that on Facebook.
Yeah, I think they ended up recording the whole thing, but I'm not certain. I'd have to ask them about that.
Yeah, I think this was a part of a social club event at Campaign D, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a link to Campaign D in the first episode if you want to check that out, guys.
Which I strongly recommend because it's a great group with great goals.
Yeah, did you see the thing on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Jerry Seinfeld, Billy Crystal? Kind of did a sequel to Who's on First.
Was this recent?
It was like maybe 3 years ago. I'm gonna guess.
All right, I don't think I saw that, and I know he just talked to Jerry Seinfeld again within the last couple days. Well, what you're talking about, I have not seen.
in a way, it's like we got the classic New York All Stars all gathered together uh, and following up on a classic routine. I mean, and uh, uh, I liked it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check this out because I would love to see those three people reenacting a scene like that.
It was like a sequel, kind of playing off the original script. I think it was like an original, kind of a follow up to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it once and I liked it.
Let's see. You said it had Jimmy Fallon, Seinfeld, and who was the other one?
Billy Crystal and
That
Steve
would be.
Higgins. And Steve Higgins, the announcer guy, was in there.
Speaking of him, whatever happened to him? Because once the quarantine really got started and Fallon went back on the air in his own studio, Higgins hasn't been there.
Not involved at all.
I mean, I think there was one video where he appeared in a video conversation with Fallon, and his kids were in the background. But that's like the only time I remember seeing him in recent memory appearing in any form on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
I might have to do some research on that one.
Oh, good. So, Buddy the Elf, and
Yep.
Any other ones?
Let's see, one more that I had written down here. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. And the main reason I put him on the list was because after kind of recapping his personal story throughout the Star Wars films, I feel like he went through a lot of difficult scenarios in one way or another, and yet he still never turned to the dark side.
He, you could say, stood his ground.
Oh, definitely. Like for anyone who hasn't seen the Star Wars movies, by the way, there's about to be some spoilers, but
Yeah, well, thanks for the warning.
of course. But in speaking chronologically now, the first movie, The Phantom Menace, he watched his master get stabbed and he died in his arms. In Attack of the Clones, he had to fight the master of his master who had turned to the dark side, who was Count Dooku. Star Wars 3, his own protege, his own Padawan, turned to the dark side, and he had to fight against him and watch as he kind of burned alive a little bit. And then, of course, in A New Hope, Vader struck him down. But through any... And that's just like the live action films. That doesn't include like the Clone Wars, for example, or any other extended universe projects. But yeah, no matter what he went through, like you said, he stood his ground, he remained strong, and he stayed on the side of good. He didn't let the difficult things get to him and make him someone he didn't want to be.
And I guess it's refreshing considering, Luke is technically Vader's son, and I don't know if whether or not Kenobi knew that all along, but either way, he believed in Luke and believed he could teach him.
Which he pretty much did. I mean, he wasn't with him for very long, but he still kind of introduced him to being a Jedi and how the Force works. So he at least, if nothing else, steered him in the right direction.
And kind of showed him, don't make these bad choices like your dad did.
Because what your dad became is not anything pleasant.
Probably not anything admirable in there. But spoiler alert, in a way, Kenobi, even after dying, was still with him
Yep.
in his head or whatever in the X-wing sequence, and most followers of the franchise or people in general probably are aware of that by now.
And I wonder if people could even make an argument that Obi-Wan's teachings to Vader before he turned to the dark side really had an influence on him in Return of the Jedi when he watched his son getting tortured by Palpatine and it's like, I can't take this anymore. And then he presumably defeats Palpatine by throwing him over the edge. And I'm wondering, is it possible that Obi-Wan's teachings kind of came back to him at that point, making him realize what he was doing?
Well, that is at least a good thought, I think. Thinking, probably when you've been around somebody for such a chunk of your life, you may selectively forget what they said to you and stuff for a while, but naturally, it could come back a long time later, I suppose, and kind of like my journey, I wasn't totally, I didn't, or I guess I didn't totally or at all appreciate the music or stuff I was being exposed to, and then memories started to come back for whatever reason, and I thought to myself, I want to relive this,
Sure, I completely get that.
Yeah. So in a way, possibly, maybe Vader had that kind of oh yeah moment, and then suddenly came to the conclusion, I want to turn over a new leaf. I want to make things right. I don't want to be part of this anymore.
And he got his last minute redemption.
And came back a Jedi apparition, and in a way came back stronger, I guess, after dying.
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. And that was pretty much what I had written down. Like, if we were to do like a third episode on this at some point, even if it's not the next one, I could probably come up with some more, and then we could even get another person in here to see if they have any that they want to share.
Well, I would encourage you people watching, listening to chime in on this conversation, share your own thoughts, and of course, I welcome you all to suggest ideas, questions, maybe future topics, possibly email us, Facebook message us.
Yep.
Thank you all for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. All right?
Yeah, and if you don't necessarily want to appear in an episode, but you still want us to talk about some of the role models you have, just leave them in the comments on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and we'll gladly talk about them.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody, and see you next time.
Take care, everyone.